Welcome to Let's Fucking Chat. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Alex. Let's talk about some stuff. Should we do like an introduction? Should we like start doing like introductions like, hey, welcome back? Or just continue like what we were doing before?
Maybe we should just start out with like how our week has been, since we release these on Fridays now. So it's like we have a whole week from the last time we've spoken directly.
That's why I wanted to. That's actually why I wanted Friday. Was so that we actually had like a weekend, like a week to talk about.
Smart. I like that.
So, how was your weekend?
I would say I guess my week. My week was pretty good. I'm getting braces at 24 because I have a baby tooth that does not have a adult tooth above, so I do have to get top and bottom braces. I feel very insecure about it. I'm getting them done on March 16th, so my calendar has been marked. I feel like they're doing like the top first, and I feel like when they do the braces, I'm probably gonna look at myself and probably start crying, and I'm gonna tell the orthodontist, like, I might cry once you like like put them on. It's not because I don't like him, it's just like I feel really insecure, and I'm accepting my fate. And I know it sounds like a psychopath, but like I probably will just tell him, like, I might shed a tear. It's not because they're ugly, it's just like I'm very insecure. I'm a fragile butterfly. I know other adults get them too, but it's like, god damn it, I'm like 24 now and I look like I'm 16. But it was good. Like I said, I celebrated my 24th birthday on Thursday, so that was fun. I went kayaking on, I think, Saturday, and today's Sunday, so I just like hung out at my house. So I would say overall really good week. It's great. So I'm just bracing myself, my ego for March 16th as I go on my journey of braces as an adult. So yay.
Wow. Don't feel bad about getting braces. I don't know why people like I know that's a joke, and that's like a way that people will kind of like, you know, make fun of other people. It's like, oh, you have braces later in life or whatever. But like, I've never ever thought that in my entire life. I've never been like, oh, why does that person have braces? They're too old or something like that. It's always just like, oh yeah, they have braces, and so they need to fix their teeth. It's like having a wheelchair or something like that.
I think I'm just like I already feel really insecure about how I look to like the public, just because like I already know I'm like, I look younger than my real age, so I'm like, dang, with these braces I'm really gonna look like, how old is that girl? And I'm like in my head like, bitch, I'm 24. Yes, I do have braces, but good thing a mask is still a thing. But I'm just like, god damn it, like I think it's just me being in my head. I've never had braces. Like, the only reason I'm literally having these is because like I said, I have a tooth that is a baby tooth, so it's like eventually this tooth is gonna fall out, and it's like I rather act now than like wait until I'm like 35, and I rather just get it over with now, you know. Just act fast before it's like not too late, but like before I'm like, oh my goodness, like this tooth is about to fall out, or oh my goodness, this tooth literally fell out and now I have a big gap in my mouth. And so
actually you might want to look into Invisalign. Have you ever like thought about that?
I guess like my dentist recommended it, but I was also just like, I feel like Invisalign just gonna be more expensive, and like I already went to the orthodontist and they're like, oh, for braces it's this much, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll just do braces, because like I remember I grew up with a girl who had Invisalign, and it just took her, I swear to god, like she had these Invisaligns in for like 3 years. So I'm like, I'd rather just do it, just braces, good old fashioned way, like, you know.
Sure, braces are about the same time.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. So I'm just gonna bear it out with braces and just see how my teeth look after. So it's supposed to fix like my top, and I guess I have like a slight like overbite from my top teeth. So like the bottom teeth, they're gonna push them forward. I don't know, dude. I'm just like, I'd rather get this done now than later. So let's go.
Well, yeah. So like I used to have. So I guess when it comes to Invisalign, I went to my my doctor, not orthodontist, my dentist, and
Dentist?
they recommended me braces because I've had braces before, but I never got to finish the actual entire procedure because my mom like got too poor. And so she like manually took them out. So just recently they actually completely took off the cement because I had cement on my teeth for several years. And yeah, like glasses, I had braces for about like 4 or 5 years or something like that. And then so I went to the dentist and they were talking about, hey, you should probably get more braces because like my teeth aren't like, they're not finished yet. Like I think they have like 1 year left. Like they're pretty straight, but they could be a lot straighter. So I was like, oh yeah, sure. And I was kind of reluctant because I was like, I don't really want like braces in my teeth again because braces are they're very cumbersome. They will slice your tongue up because they're metal. And so what you have to do is you have to get this thing called wax, and you kind of put the wax over any part that's sharp, and that way it doesn't like cut your tongue. Yeah, but it's very, very, very annoying. And after a while, you just start ignoring the pain of getting scratched up by the braces because you're just like, I do not feel like taking out the wax. But yeah, I was pretty reluctant, and then the lady was just kind of like, oh yeah, no, like since you're an adult, you should probably look into Invisalign because it's basically the same procedure, but Invisalign you can take Invisalign off. And also Invisalign is clear, so it's very hard to tell somebody has braces who has Invisalign on them. Yeah, so that's why I think I'm going to get like Invisalign very soon. Might do it before I get like LASIK. My friends have been getting LASIK, so I was like, maybe I should get some LASIK.
I don't trust LASIK at all. My eyes are too dry.
It's so scary, but
and that's like a permanent thing. Like this isn't like Invisalign or braces. This is like I'm fucking with my eyes. Like
yeah, but then you no longer have to wear glasses.
I guess, but like that is just something like I just don't think I'd ever mess with is like my eyes, because like yes, you can put like braces or Invisalign, but like if you get like a oops, like you said, like I'll experiencing this, like if I don't put the wax, I'll just like deal with cutting my tongue. But it's like oh oops, your eyes just get really dry. Oops, now you're blind in one eye. Like oops, now you have an eye infection. Oops. Like
that is a possibility.
A permanent thing. Like I don't. Maybe that's just me. I don't want to mess with those things.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree, but I've just been like my friends have been doing it, and I've been thinking about it a little bit more. No. I've just been thinking about it a lot more because my friends have done it, and they've done it successfully every time. So I was thinking like, hey, maybe I should, because at first I was because I like my glasses, and I like how you can use glasses to like style, for style. It's like my favorite thing about like most anything. Like I like masks because it allows you to stylize and stuff like that. I think we talked about that before. But yeah, glasses allow me to style a lot as well. And so I like that. And so I know that when I, do not Invisalign, but get LASIK, I'm going to lose that. That ability, unless I do like the glasses without like, what's his name's in them, and then I'll just look like a douchebag.
Like you have like fake prescription glasses.
Yeah, exactly. People do that.
I know. Oh yes.
But I do want to go to the movies one day without having to like put the 3D glasses over my actual glasses. Like that sounds really fun. Why don't you just get
contacts? Like
contacts is indeed a thing. It seems very cumbersome to me, just like having to go through like putting them on every single day. And I know that you can kind of get used to it. But if you get LASIK, it's like automatic.
True.
Yeah. So
you don't really have to think about it or do anything. You just wake up and you're like, oh my god, I have like 20/20 vision, not like -3 point whatever.
Yeah,
in my
exactly.
eyes.
I want to be able to like stare out and actually see things now, and also not have to update glasses every couple of years. That's pretty annoying.
That is. Yeah, I feel that. Like, the price of glasses is kind of expensive, and even with insurance, I got insurance through my husband's job or whatever, and I spent like $235 on contacts. I think I spent like $100 with the insurance covering like my glasses and stuff, and maybe like $150, and it's like That's true though. The price of contacts and glasses like does add up because every time you go to the eye doctor, like your prescription changes or it stays the same and blah 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 blah, all that jazz.
Yeah, LASIKs apparently aren't like for the people that I've been talking to, well, my friends. It's about like 3,000. So that's
wow, for one eye or both?
For both. So it's not a big price to pay to like to do it. Yeah,
it's
right.
Not. Wow.
So I might actually do it. I'm maybe not anytime soon, but in the next couple of years I might do it. It sounds like a very fun thing to do. Not fun necessarily, but just good to do if it does come out successfully too. Which it is more likely to come out successfully.
I would hope so. I'd hope the probability of successful eye LASIK whatever is like better than like bad. Wow. So they value your one eye at $1,500.
Yep.
That
sounds about right.
True.
So my week has been pretty good. Me and my friends, Friday we hung out. We actually hung out over the entire weekend. I still have friends over, and we did the hot ones challenge where we tried the hot sauces.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was very painful. It was very painful. I have a picture of myself with like tears in my eyes, just because of how painful it was. But
definitely
we finished
send
it.
That to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Write that down so that I can remember. But we ended up finishing it without doing milk. Me and my friend Dylan, we each finished it without drinking milk, and that was pretty dope. Very painful, just very, very, very painful. But I kind of want to do it again.
I could not do hot food. I think my tolerance is maybe like the Chinese like chili oil, like very, very small amount. Like I cannot do hot food at all. So I applaud you.
Yeah. And then last week, I watched the movie that we're gonna be discussing soon, and it was just a really good movie. At first, I didn't really expect anything like much out of it. I was just kind of like,
yes.
It's just going to be another movie, and Zendaya's in there, and as we all know, Zendaya's pretty attractive to me, so that's really cool. And she's a good actress, and I've followed her since she was like on Disney Channel or whatever, so she's pretty cool. But yeah, it turned out to be a lot way better than I expected. And honestly, I think I'm basically done with my week, so we can actually start talking about that, because that's been something that I've been like itching to talk about this entire time.
So I want to just give a small synopsis about the movie that I ended up picking. When do you want to talk about the love language? So we do that like after, or like just get that over for now?
Do you want to do that now or later?
Let's actually do that after, because I feel like that would really tie in the movie that we watched.
Oh yeah, maybe because it's kind of about love. Yeah. Actually, good job. Yeah.
Yeah, like it goes with it actually, surprisingly.
Also, anyone, by the way, if it's not already obvious, and I'm pretty sure we probably have like in the title and shit, but spoilers. We did watch the movie, and we're going to talk about it.
Yes, this episode is going to be heavily condensed about Malcolm Maire. So, like Alex said, if you haven't watched it, maybe don't listen to this episode at all.
Or if you care about any spoilers, because some people haven't watched it and they don't really care about spoilers.
That's true. I feel that. So this movie. All right. So I'm reading this off of Google, but it's called Malcolm and Marie. It's on Netflix. It was released this year, I believe. Soon-ish. Really don't know. But, okay, so it's about... it was released, on January 29th, 2021. Fairly new.
Oh, wow.
So, it's about a filmmaker on the brink of Hollywood glory and his girlfriend, whose story made his career, find themselves pushed towards a reckoning as a single, tumultuous night decides the fate of their relationship. And this movie, once again, stars Zendaya and let me get his name. Sorry, I'm really bad at this. There's only 2 cast members, so I should know the other one. Okay, so it stars Zendaya, and John David Washington. And let's get into this movie recap of, again, Malcolm and Marie, which is on Netflix, and you can watch it now, so watch it for sure. So
Yeah, it's really good.
It is good. So my first question for us is, of course, the significance of shooting the film in black and white.
Yeah, at first I saw that it was black and white, and I was like, oh, I guess they're gonna transition at some point to a colored video, and they never did. And it's very interesting because I don't really know the significance, but I do know that, like, if anybody, like, the entire movie insanely, and I was thinking it was really funny because I was thinking about it as I was watching the movie, that it's the entire night. The entire movie is the entire night. Like, it's one night of two people who are arguing, but they have, like, a lot of affection towards each other, but also a lot of emotions towards each other, and so it's just going throughout this entire argument of these two people that at first you start to realize that, like, their stories, they each are valid to each other. Like, at first they started arguing, and you're like, oh, this person is in the wrong, like, this person's bad, like, absolutely. And then, like, they come around and they're like, oh, here's more information for the reason why I think I'm actually in the right, and you're like, oh crap, that is actually important information. And yeah, so I'm not really sure what I would consider the importance of the black and white itself, but I think that it does kind of give a certain vibe to the movie, and I think the vibe's pretty, like, it fits pretty well. Very, like, you know, chill and oldie, but like one of those interrogation movies where it's black and white, so it's a lot more impactful or serious. Yeah.
Okay, I like how you said that it gives you, like, the very interrogation vibes, because I did not think that at first. So when I first saw the black and white, after I kept, like, going through the movie, I thought the black and white represented definitely, like, it's taking place at night, so the significance of daytime light is really not important at all. Also, when you only make it black and white, you also lose the importance of any distractions, like any color. Like, we don't know the color of her dress, or really the color of her makeup, or even, like, seeing the bright color of Kraft mac and cheese. So, like, all of those obscured colors that you may get fixated on is no longer there. And I also too think, because they do fight, this whole movie is them fighting, going back and forth, and like you said, with whoever starts the fight, whoever finishes the fight, you get more info. But it's like, to me, it's like, this fight is there's only really, it's a black and white fight. There's no in between. So it's either this person's right, or this person's right, or this person's wrong, or this person's wrong. So I feel like that's how the black and white really tied the whole movie together. It eliminates distractions. It always shows that this fight between two people, which is only one or two, either this person's right or that person's right. So that's why I really thought the black and white was really significant to this movie and its message that it was trying to give the audience, which is us.
Yeah.
And let's see. And does the age difference between them have any impact on the way they fight? I know that Malcolm, I believe he says she's maybe 25, 24. He met her when she was 20. So if you give him 5-ish or 6 years, he's 30, 31, even older. What do you think their age is? And if there is a bigger age gap, do you think that really impacts how they fight in this movie?
Impacts it the way they fight? Most likely. Something that really stuck out to me, and the main reason that I wanted to talk about this movie, was because of how much this entire movie resonated with my previous relationship. I think that this is like, it hit so many nails on the head with fighting someone who I think is a tad bit, who has their own, like, murky past. Like, being in a relationship with somebody who has a murky past, and could have some mental issues or something like that. I think that, you know, although I think a lot of that could be attributed to their murky past and stuff, It's also like your outlook on that murky past, and I think that your age does run into your outlook of certain things in your life differently as you age. So I know that like a long time ago when I was in high school, lots of problems were big problems to me then, but now I look back on it and I'm like, okay, that means nothing.
Yes.
That's absolutely like a worthless problem. I don't know why I actually ever cared for that. So someone who's a lot older than someone else might like look at their problems and say, hey, you're not old enough yet to understand that problem actually is not really much of a problem.
It literally means nothing.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, move on.
Yeah. So I think it does play an impact. How much versus all the other external factors? I don't think a lot. I think there's a lot more, that's personality wise, that is actually like more, more of the reason why this fight actually takes place, right? Like their personalities are the reason why they clash,
yes.
not necessarily how they
more
visualize
like
certain things. Ego and like all and like wanting to be
noticed, recognized,
basically having their own like
seen?
perception of each other.
Oh yeah.
and like then it being like turned on its back because the other person is well, just because you have you have your perception of me doesn't mean you actually know that is, this
is me.
Yeah, this is me. Like one of my biggest things when I'm talking when it comes to significant others, the reason why I'm so open is because I hate having to assume things about people, because I think that assumptions are very, very scary, because what ends up happening is that you always tend to assume the worst. So when you're talking to somebody, or when somebody does something bad to you or bad around you, you're more likely to say, oh, they must have done this for their own like selfish reasons. And so what I like to do is I like to go ask first. I talk to them. I will say, hey, when you did this kind of annoyed me, or this wasn't like this kind of like I didn't really like this much. And that way we're able to like just start finishing this up. Jesus Christ, I don't know if you can hear it, but there are fucking people in the hallway making lots
You're
of noise.
fine.
But fuck, I forgot what I was trying to say. Anyway, basically, totally forgot what I was going to say.
It's okay.
So what about you? Does the age difference matter to you?
I would definitely say so. Even if he's only 5 years older than her, like, he's experienced a whole 5 years of life that she hasn't. And especially if she started out as like a junkie and like has gone through rehab like at a younger age, like her life experience, like you said, like hasn't in a way held up to his, and like what she deems as like a big problem, he deems as like, oh, insignificant, brushing that off. Like I also feel like that's my marriage in a way, because my husband is like 5 to 6 years older than me, so like the life he's lived is completely different from me, and what I get ticked off at or mad at, like he will always just be like, why are you just upset at this, or like, why are you being rude to me today, like, are you gonna say you're sorry for being rude? And I'm just like, yes, because I was being rude over something absolutely insignificant. So I feel like their age and how they view certain issues that are brought up throughout the movie definitely has a impact, and like leads to like the multiple fights that they have throughout this whole like film basically. So yeah, I definitely think so, like for sure. And this is probably one of my favorite questions that I came up with while watching this movie is, was the process of making the film for Malcolm the big lead up to this explosion after the premiere night? So like in the movie we see that obviously Malcolm is the filmmaker, the writer, producer, blah blah blah, basically everything for the film, he makes it. And then you later see that Marie maybe was not inspired by the film, but like we said earlier, with every fight you see the other person's view, and then Malcolm sees this as, it wasn't based on you, it was also based on this, that, and that. So do you think the whole process of Malcolm creating the film and then Marie sitting back and maybe or maybe not having a big impact on the film and like how it was created, do you think for at least Marie, this whole process of making the film, it's premiered the night, after the premiere night. Do you think this is all an explosion of her feelings that she's built up throughout maybe this whole year process of the film being made?
Absolutely. That's what it seems. It seems like she's been. I think it's very strange because like, it shows that she declined the offer before,
Yes.
right? And so like, it's one of those questions because that like, is this one of those things that like he should have just like noticed? He should have been like, oh, you know, this obviously has like somewhat of her inside of it, so I should kind of like be more persistent on getting her to feature in the film or act in the film. But that being said, she still did decline in the very beginning, so
Yes.
you know, yes, that's probably the reason, is the build up, is like the actual creation, the like the making of the film, all of that probably being like the big like grower and passion for this, like, you know, seeing this film grow and be created or whatever. But I think that it seems like it was like a majority of just like that one moment where he was thanking everybody.
Oh yes,
And
for sure.
he just
And she
forgot to
does
thank
not
her.
get thanked.
Yeah, I think that that's one of those like feelings where, like, at first you were kind of thinking about it and you're like, I don't really want to, like, you know, I'm okay with not acting in this film. But then after they like not thank you, which you would expect, you would say, well, the least you could have done is like I did help with this film just by existing,
Yeah.
right? Because like obviously, like, so you might as well have thanked me. And that being said, thinking about you thanking me, you probably should have even been a lot more persistent on me acting in the film, which I guess I can see it from that perspective. I'm actually not 100% on, you know, on that question, on like what it entirely means, but yeah, I do think it was that moment, not necessarily the process. I think the process may like probably helped. Like there was like those kind of like there was those irky moments she probably had. But I think that the majority of it was just like, you didn't thank me, and it's obvious that you probably should have.
Well, to begin like the fight, it's literally her being like, you know, Malcolm, you thanked the producers, the main lady, what was her name, like Tiffany or something? I don't remember. You thanked all of them. You even thanked your mom. You even thanked the theater guy who was ushering you as a 12-year-old in the theater that you grew up in. But the one person you didn't thank was me. So I definitely think I agree with you. Like, it wasn't the process, but like you said, that definitely had a little nudge into it. But like, just that bit of him not being like, and thank you, Marie, for helping me or loving me throughout this process. And I guess this goes into my other question is, what do you think about Marie's reasoning for being upset about Malcolm? What did we think about Marie's reason for being upset at Malcolm for not thanking her during the movie premiere? Is this an underlying issue that is coming full circle for Marie? Because, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, she's like, while they're finally in bed, who knows what time it is, but it's like, she's like, Malcolm, all I want is for you to thank me. Thank you, Marie, for doing this, that, and that. So do you think this is another maybe full circle moment for Maria, being like, the least he could have done was thank me, but he doesn't thank me in our day-to-day relationship, so like, fuck me, pretty much.
Interesting question. Yeah, I think that usually what we tend to, especially like, again, I think that when we have problems in relationships, like, especially like, again, what I try to avoid is this, which is we tend to let a lot of things slide that irk us, that are very, very small. And those small things build up into a much, much more passionate, like, emotional bottle.
Explosion.
Right? Yeah, explosion, exactly. And so I think that finally this happened, and this was like a very important part of his life, and her not being included in the thinking of one of the most important parts of his life kind of makes you feel like shit, because you're like, okay, then in a way that means that I'm not a part of this important point in your life, meaning I seem to be not important to you, because, you know,
Yes.
obviously this is So I think that like, yeah, it started it, and then you just kind of start like thinking back on everything else, where you're just like, okay, yeah, the like he didn't thank me here. He also doesn't thank me here. He also doesn't thank me here. Like blah 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 blah. You know, that's actually and then you find out, oh, that's a problem that you have because you don't thank me in times where I feel like you should be more appreciative. Something that I find very interesting is that I actually really connect with the main character here, and not all the way because he's kind of a dick, and I don't consider myself a dick because I know how to let things go, honestly. But
oh yeah, he's been holding on to lots of things.
Yeah, but in the way that like he's very what am I trying to say? He likes to do things that like he wants to do, right? He likes to like. I forgot where I was going with that.
Like brag almost. Well, I know there's that scene. Well, there's like that scene where she's in the tub, right? And he's talking to her about all the girls he's been with. And it's like, as a woman, why would you want to hear that? Just like, oh yeah, I've been with this girl and that girl. And we had sex in like this hotel. And like, I have all these old photos of these women that I slept with like somewhere in a closet. Okay, opinionated. Yeah. Okay. I was trying to trigger that word for you.
Yeah, he's very opinionated. And yeah, like, and he's very like, in a way, like kind of hard-headed. So like, yeah, I think that's a big like show for it, where it's like he didn't have to do that, but he did it. And of course it's understandable in that position in the argument where he feels hurt. So he like, usually when you start to feel hurt in an argument, you start to hurt back. And so he starts to get a silver tongue, which I actually have I think it's called a silver tongue, where I actually have a problem with that. I get a silver tongue when I get very upset. I'm not very physical at all. I'm a teddy bear when it comes to like physical stuff, but if you annoy me, it'll start to show in like my speech and stuff like that. And he went very, very far in saying that, but he meant for that. He meant for that to hurt her. Like,
oh yes, he intentionally said every word.
Yeah, exactly. Like he knew that this is the effect that it's going to take. Therefore, I'm going to do this, and I can understand that. I don't really fault him for it because he's upset. Like, I think that you kind of grant people a little bit of leeway when they're upset and stuff like that, because you're like, okay, yeah, this is obviously something that happens when you're upset, and it's not something detrimental. It's just kind of like, it's just very kind of douchey, right? You can be a douche but not be a horrible person. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I feel you. I definitely agree with everything you said. He was definitely very maniacal and calculated, I would say. Like, if he was on the receiving end of the fight, if Marie started the fight, he was very like, I'm gonna take a break, I'm gonna go outside, and I'm gonna go back. Also, another question that I have for us is, what did we think about the scenes where they'd get into the fight, someone would go outside and smoke, or like Marie would smoke and then come back and fight, and then Malcolm maybe would go outside and smoke, or Marie would go out in the backyard and he'd be like, where are you? And she's like, I'm not used to having this big backyard, I just had to take a pee. Do you think every time they take whatever break they needed and then come back to the next scene, that was their way of inhaling, accepting a positive, but then somehow turning that into a negative? Like, this whole movie to me was it is a back and forth tumultuous night of, you have ups, then you have really bad downs, then you have the neutral ground, but then you have ups and then downs. Like, do you think whenever a person took a break, that was their way of restarting the whole fight?
Yeah. I think that they did a really good job at showing what an argument is like, because at least for me, an argument doesn't start like it doesn't end at one point, right? You're always like trying to, you're going back and forth, and you always take those breaths where it's like you're both at an impasse. Something big hasn't been either brought up, or you're just kind of like done. You have to kind of walk out and kind of calm down, and then you come back, because we tend to have those thoughts where it's like, where you kind of walk back and calm down. You're like, I should have said this to them, and then you go back in and you're like, all right, well, this is that thing that I should have said then, and then it kind of comes back.
Oh yes, it spirals.
Yeah, and he's very, very good at just constantly just
oh god, yes,
coming back for more. And there's times where you're just like, dude, stop. Like,
I know,
obviously,
like, please chill.
Yeah, but he's very opinionated in that. Also, what I was getting at before was just that, like, I think that I should, like, this kind of shows me, because of how well it is, like, how well reflective it is to my previous relationship. I think it also kind of highlights how I probably should have been a lot more appreciative of my significant other, although they were very, very toxic, and and it was just not a good situation.
Let's not forget that.
There were things, like, they weren't like toxic in the way where it's like they meant to be toxic. It was toxic because of like some debris that happened based on the choices that they would make. And so there were times where there was none of that, right? Where they were trying their very best to help me out and to do things for me. And I feel like I could have absolutely been a lot more appreciative, and I wasn't. And so when she dropped that like truth bomb on him, I kind of like got caught in the crossfire where I was like, wow, like, yeah, I could have been a little bit more appreciative. Like, even though I think that in an argument, a lot of people don't understand, but even though somebody's could be in the complete wrong of the wrong side of the argument, that doesn't mean that you're not fault worthy. You're not like without fault.
Everyone's at fault.
Yeah, and so, like, although I think that all in all, I think it was completely their fault, and I talked to them about this over and over and over again, and then when we finally made the decision, I had to make the decision because they wouldn't make the decision that was better for both of us. So I think that they were on like the bad side. I could have done a lot of things. There's a lot of things I could have done, and one of those things could have been be a lot more appreciative. Like, you know, be a lot more thankful that people are helping you out and they're doing stuff for you. I'm not a very talkative and a very emotional person where I like to express my emotions a lot. I usually like to express my emotions through helping you, or through through showing that I would risk a certain thing for myself to help you out. That's usually my way of telling somebody, hey, I have a lot.
Those are your love languages.
Exactly. As we'll get further into it.
And,
that's exactly what my love language is that. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, this absolutely helped me figure out that I should be absolutely a lot more vocally appreciative rather than expecting somebody to understand about my subtle ways of telling them that that I'm thankful or whatever.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree too. If anything, that's shown me to say like thank you more, especially to my husband. And moving on from that, beautiful question that we just answered, kind of. I do want to ask this very, very, very important question. The significance, and I'm going to use significance a lot because in my graphic design, whatever college, significance is a big word. What is the significance, Alex, of the first scene of Marie making the mac and cheese? Also, side note, in the middle of this movie, I had to pause it and make mac and cheese because I was hungry, and I did indeed make Kraft mac and cheese. So, what are your thoughts about the first scene that we see is Marie making Malcolm Kraft mac and cheese after being back from a night of oohs and ahs on his movie premiere?
I have no clue. It was obviously her being like her just making him food because he wanted food, and her just probably not really wanting to do a lot to make the food because it's like, I'm tired as hell, because it was shown in the movie or said in the movie that she was just very tired, and she was like, I just kind of want to go to sleep right now. And so he decided, oh hey, can you make me something really quick?
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, here you go. So I don't really know the particular significance or importance of it. It's just he got mac and cheese.
Okay, I have a completely different thought. I feel I feel like as you finish the movie, this again ties into the whole Marie wanting to be thanked and being thanked for her actions that she gives to Malcolm. So the fact that it's, let's say 1 a.m. they get back from crazy night, she's probably tired, her feet hurt from standing in these heels, and my girl is making mac and cheese. Okay, that's like a 10-15 minute thing, and he really doesn't thank her at all. So I think this is her showing him, hey, I love you this much that I'm making you mac and cheese at 1 or 2 a.m. and I don't really get a thank you. So I think that was the significance, like her giving and him receiving but not thanking her for her fruitful efforts of making Kraft mac and cheese. Maybe I'm just a psycho and like dissecting it too much, but
looking back on it, I think I actually agree with you. Not actually, but yeah, I agree with you. Looking back on it, it does seem like it's kind of a show in the story of like not only him not thanking her in what was said in the implied thank you conference or whatever it was, the movie thing, but also him still not thanking her after making, a very simple dish that, obviously she was very tired of making. I can see that, and I can agree with that. I didn't notice that at the very beginning, but I can agree with that.
Okay, cool. Just a forewarning though, like if I pick the movie, I'm gonna like dissect the shit out of it and be like, oh, is that significant? What does that mean? I don't know. What does that also mean? So just be wary of these questions because they're kind of weird, but I think it's interesting how this is a very black and white film, so I feel like everything matters, just like a piece of art. Yay, go art.
Wow, okay, cool, my ADHD just showed up. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I got enamored by how very similar it was to my previous relationship, where I was very an opinionated character, and although I'm very not vocal with, I guess you can consider my love language, which is like, again, doing stuff for people, like doing tasks and things like that. Like that's my thing. That's what I like to do, is do tasks for people and risk things in my life to show someone else that I'd risk something for them. And by showing that I'm risking something for them, or that I will risk somebody for them, or risk something for them, it should show them that thing that I'm risking is less important than them and stuff like that. So seeing this person, this character, kind of try to do the exact same thing, where he's like not very outwardly vocal about like his appreciation or whatever, but he talked about like, actually I don't really know about much appreciation.
You saw yourself in the characters. Yeah, in a way.
Yeah, he talked about like actually like still thinking of her along the way, and also what he did to like fight for her before. Because again, coming through the movie at the very first part of the argument, you're like, this guy's a dick. Like he's obviously not thanking her. But then when you realize all the stuff that he has done for her, after a while you're like, oh wait, maybe like in my head, as a person, like if I were that character, I would also think, oh yeah, I'm showing my appreciation by, going to rehab with you, and like literally like staying by like your bedside, or trying to like help you in all these different situations. Yeah, exactly. And that's probably what he also thought. So I find myself very similar to him in that way, where that's the thing that I would do. That's actually the thing that I did with my significant other, where my ex, which was, I was very, very like, okay, I'm gonna stop that. Like, I have an exam tomorrow, but you need help. All right, screw the exam.
You paused
the exam
your life
isn't you.
For them.
Yeah, exactly. I'll pause my life for you because I want to show you that you're very important to me. But then when you have that conversation like later on, and they talk to you and they say, hey, you're never very appreciative of me, then it's kind of,
and you're like, what do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean? I've done so much.
I paused my whole life.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't see that, and it's not, that's not bad on them. I think also a very big thing that this shows is none of them were bad. Whether or not the relationship was good or not, like I think that's also was one of your questions, which I do not agree. I think that it's a very bad relationship. I think it's very unhealthy, and that they should probably again, I ended up breaking up with my ex because I knew how unhealthy it was. But whether or not it's a healthy relationship or not, they're all not. None of them are just the bad guy. None of them deserve
no
to be
one's at
a horrible
fault.
person.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, it's a whole. I think, like you said, we can both agree that this relationship is not healthy, and maybe I am agreeing with you as well. I don't want to speak for you, but like, I do not think if this is a real life couple, this couple does not last. Malcolm even jokes about, should we just get married and start divorcing now? Because it will happen. And you're like, why would you say that? If you're going to get married, you shouldn't joke about just, let's get married and start getting divorced, because it's going to happen. So not a healthy relationship. The couple does not last. I agree to that. At least this movie does show that like no party is really at fault. It's more of a perspective, again, coming back to the whole love languages, and how I definitely feel like having an understanding of each other's love language is very important, and they definitely do not, and that's why they do not last at all. And I want to move on to our last question, which is, of course, the most important besides the mac and cheese and the significance of black and white, is our overall thoughts on this movie. And even though I picked this movie, and I did look at the Rotten Tomatoes when I googled it, and it was only a mere 58, I will agree with Rotten Tomatoes and maybe give it a 28, because at the beginning of this film I was like, okay, it's just a little fight here and there, whatever. But I'm sorry, but like towards the middle, when I made that Kraft mac and cheese, I let that movie play, because I was like, all they're gonna do this whole film is go back and forth. And I also was like, this is not a movie you should watch with your significant other, because it could be triggering, and you could look at each other like, holy fuck, like we see each other in either Malcolm or Marie. We need to reevaluate this relationship. But I did think it does shed a good light how it's impacted you, how you saw yourself and some glimpses in this movie with your past relationship. So it gives you more clarity, maybe. I don't want to speak to you, but just like, oh, I maybe will see things differently in my next relationship, because this is a movie that kind of showed me how my past relationship was. So if I could rate it, I would rate this movie a 2 out of 5. And that's my overall thoughts on the movie. Yeah.
2 out of 5. I think I can agree with that.
A 2 out of 5.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I think it's I really enjoyed the movie, but of course for different like reasons. Again, because I found so much like, you know, in common with the movie, I was more, I was listening to it a lot more intensely, because I was hearing the similarities between their argument and a lot of the arguments that I've had in my own relationship, and I think that. And I think it did a really good job at portraying a very unhealthy relationship from someone who has their own past and has their own kind of mental disorders.
Okay, that's better.
And someone who is very headstrong and very stubborn. Because I will not say that I am not stubborn. I am pretty stubborn. I think that I'm very open-minded as a very stubborn person, though, but I am pretty stubborn. And so I think it did a really good job at showing that kind of that dynamic. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I just latched onto it once I started hearing like the fights and stuff like that, where I was like, oh yeah, I remember having a very similar discussion here. Like I never had an appreciation discussion, but there was a lot of discussions where it came from. A lot of discussions in common where it was very similar to like, I feel like they would have had the same arguments before while they were getting her clean. Yeah. And those were the arguments that I would probably be having with my ex, which was trying to like help this person through this lifestyle when you know that. And I think this is probably the main reason why I think that it is a very unhealthy relationship and they should probably end up breaking up. It's just that you cannot change people. And that's also something that I think that he's the type of person, and that's why I think he resembles me a lot, is because me and my entire mother's side of my family were very, very like we love to help people. I love to help people and make people happy and make people smile. So when it comes to seeing someone like that as me or the main character, I just want to help them. I want to make them happy because I see that they're distraught or they're having problems. So I want to try my best. But then what you figure out is that the person gets very frustrated because you can't. You cannot help somebody who does not want to be helped. All you can do is kind of give them the tools to do it, and if they choose not to use those tools, then you can't really force them to do it. And I think that that's kind of like what this entire situation is kind of like showing. It's like, oh yeah, like, yeah, you want this appreciation or whatever, but like, obviously, look at what I've done. Like, give me some credit for that. And it's just like, well,
true.
And then you have,
but I want all this credit.
Yeah, exactly. But I want all that credit. Yeah, exactly. So I would give the movie like a 3 out of 5. I think that it's a pretty good movie for portraying exactly what it's trying to portray. But I agree with you in that I would not watch this with a significant other.
Yeah, no.
One, it's just boring if you're watching it with a significant other.
Hell yeah, yes.
And honestly, probably pretty awkward too. Just because of how like.
Oh yeah. Intense every scene is. It's literally all a big fight, so it's like. Just look at the person like, okay, let's change the movie. Like, 10 minutes in, not worth it.
Also, I did not think that they could pull off a movie where the entirety of it is just one night.
God,
I did not think they would do that. I could do that.
Towards the end, like that last bed scene, I was like, it has to be like 5 a.m. And I was like, oh wait, maybe I see the sun because like there's light. Beaming like on the right side of her face, but I was like, no, it's a lamp. And I'm like, so it has to be 4 or 5. Like, holy crap. So like 1, 2, like this is like a 3-hour fight. Like, I'm sorry, like I would be like, let's save this fight for the morning. I'm tired, my feet hurt, I don't feel like talking anymore because I just had to smile for like 3 or 5 hours. Like, eat your mac and cheese, I'm going to bed, bye. Absolutely bye. Bye world.
Yeah, sometimes those arguments last that long though. Sometimes you have them.
Oh hell no.
Those are very annoying arguments for sure.
I literally cannot. I think that's like another reason why I love my relationship with my husband, because usually the arguments are literally just for me and then they are over because we both kind of just move on. Like, I don't think I could not ever talk to him. Like, he'll joke and he'll just be like, I'm not going to talk to you for the whole day. But I'm like, I know you can't not talk to me. So, hi. Okay, so enough about my marriage. Let's move on to the other main topic that we said we talk about in the last episode, which weirdly, like I said before, ties into this movie, Malcolm and Marie, are love languages. So if anyone doesn't know what a love language is, there are 5. Take the test, which I've linked below, and I'll link it again on our Instagram. But the 5 are receiving gifts, physical touch, quality time, words of affirmation, and acts of service. I only know about this because my mom bought a book when I was becoming a teenager and was like, I know what your love language is. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And it's actually very important for not only, I think, your not identity, but like your relationship building skills with your future partner, but it's also great for you to know what you love. So Alex, what was your top love language? If you want to rank them, it's up to you.
So, my love language, it's very, very expected from myself. I think that I did a really good job. What? No, it's very expected, and yeah, I thought I was going somewhere else. So, my primary love language is acts of service, which is kind of what I was talking about before. Yeah, I like it when people do things for me, and I do things for people to show how much I'm willing to risk my time for this person, because that's supposed to show how much this person means to me, because time is the most important thing in my life. that I see. Like time is very valuable, and so when my father used to teach me that like time is money, and so like now I take time very 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 valuably. So if I stop something that I want to do for you, or if I take out time out of my day for you, that means that you are very 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 important to me. And so active service, and then I have the next highest, which is quality time. I do rather enjoy quality time. I like being next to my significant other. It's everything is always better with somebody. I even
That's true. I agree.
Whenever I go to get groceries, I ask my roommates to go out with me, just because I don't really like doing errands alone and stuff like that. So
Same.
Quality time is very very important. I have words of affirmation. Words of affirmation. I'm not very good with words of affirmation, but hearing them make me happy. So
that's true though. True.
Yeah, I'm very bad when it comes to words of affirmation, because if somebody says like, "Oh, hey, you're really awesome," or "You're really good," I don't know how to respond to it, because I always feel like I'm not giving them the exact response they're looking for. Yeah,
I feel that.
And so that's usually the reason why like I'm not big on words of affirmation, just because I don't feel like I can respond to them like as much as I would, I think that they would expect to be responded to. But it still means a lot to me when people say things like that. I think we talked about it before, how it's very rare for guys to get compliments. So when I get one, it kind of puts me off. It's like, oh shit, okay, well, nice.
Yeah, you're like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah. So my fourth one is receiving gifts. Again, I have the same problem with gifts as words of affirmation. When people give me stuff, it makes me feel really weird, because I feel like I need to be very, very thankful to them.
Yep.
But I never feel like I'm
agree.
able to express my gratitude as well as I want to. Yeah, exactly. And so because of that, like, I usually just opt in not to want to get gifts from people, just because it's just kind of like, I don't want you to feel obligated to give me something. Because I know that I'm never going to give you the exact response that you're getting.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm very on the outside. I'm not very expressive. And so if you give me something that I really want, I'm like, oh cool, thanks. And that's all you get. And so I feel really really bad when people are like, oh hey, I spent a lot of money on this for you, and I'm just kind of like, oh thanks.
Oh my God,
and they're like, oh, you don't like it? And I'm like, no, I really love it, I just don't know how to express it that well.
Do you want me to like clap, like jump up and down, like what do you want?
Yeah, exactly. And then finally, the lowest one is physical touch. I'm not a very touchy person. I like physical touch to an extent, because of course I do like to have sex, but I just don't like people all up on me.
True.
I'm just really not. I'm like, it's always weirds me out when it's just like, I also I'm not into PDA as well, like public displays of affection.
I'm not.
Yeah. Because I always feel bad. Like, not only do I feel bad because it's just like, when I'm single and I'm like really like love struck, or love hurt or something, or whatever it's called. Like, when I see other people like just enjoying like their like significant others, just kind of like, can you guys like get a room or something like that?
Yeah.
So I offer the same people, like I offer people the same kind of courtesy, where I'm just like, you don't need to know much about my, So
That's true though.
the physical touch is kind of an ooh for me. I'm not a very big physical touch type of person.
Unless it comes to sex, which same.
Unless it comes to sex, exactly. Like it's. I love touch, but I'm like a cat. That's the
like
best way for me to explain.
Behind closed doors, though. Behind closed doors is when I'm like, touch me all you want, but in public I'm like, you can hold my hand, maybe a kiss on the lips, but like, I don't want
exactly.
Like you said, like, I'm not trying to make out in front of like a bunch of rando people, because like that's weird.
Yeah. I think the best way for me to explain myself is just, I'm very similar to a cat, where I love to touch you and I love affection for a certain amount of time. And then after that physical affection, I'm just like, all right, get away from me.
Done.
So I love, like, my cat Reggie, I love to like, I'll like leave my room and I'll go and like just like start like just mushing on him and like petting him and stuff like that. And then after like 3 or 4 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm done, and I walk away. Like, I do not like to constantly have like send affection or receive affection over and over and over again. So yeah, I'm not a very physical touch type of person. I just like to do things for people.
Nice. And nothing is wrong with that. I believe somebody once compared me to a cat, where it's like and I was like, thank you. I don't know what to say, but now I see it comes full circle. I am kind of like a cat, and it's funny. I will say though, weirdly, that your number 3 was words of affirmation, and my number 3 was also words of affirmation. And then I'll just go down my list, but it's like weird. Like, our things are literally like backwards. It's funny. So my number 1 is quality time, which I love quality time, even if you're just sitting in the same room as me. I love it. And then 2nd is acts of service. I love when you put away the dishes or fold the laundry. It's my favorite thing. And then 3, words of affirmation. 4, which is physical touch. And then 5 is receiving gifts. So I thought it was kind of interesting when you were reading your list. I was like putting mine together, and I was like, oh my god, our number 3s are the same, and then everything else is literally just like flipped back and forth. So incredible.
My quality time and my acts of service are actually 3% within each other, so they're very close.
Are they really?
Yeah, my acts of service is 30% and my quality time is 27%.
Oh my god. Okay, my quality time was 37 and my acts of service was 30, so only 7 points from each other.
Yeah, I love both of them. I would in a way, quality time, because quality time hits that same thing that I talk about, which is time. So like by putting away your time with me, it makes me feel very happy. It makes me feel like I'm loved whenever you were like you would even think about putting down like your game to go with me, right? Like, even I like to ask my friends to come with me to the store. Not always to even just like hear a yes from them, but sometimes they can hear a no, but they're kind of like thinking about it, like, not really, I want to do this, and it still makes me feel happy that they considered it. They're like, oh yeah, I would, but I kind of want to finish this game first. It's like, that is very understandable. I respect that. For me, quality time and acts of service are very, very, very close. It's like, just hit me with one of them and I feel probably equally as happy. I guess acts of service though is a little bit better. If you do something for me, I'm very, very happy with that.
Well, there you have it. What do you, I guess, to tie in the love language and Malcolm and Marie, what do you think Malcolm's love language is and Marie's?
I
It's
think
hard to judge.
I think that, okay, so I can only answer, of course, like primary, but I think for Michael, is that his name? Malcolm. I think for Malcolm, close. I think it's absolutely like acts of service, because that defines like why he feels so passionately, like why his answer to her feeling very inadequate as him saying, I've done all this stuff for you as much as I can, and like him expressing that shows how much he does put that ahead of everything else when it comes to like what he considers his love to be. So I would say that acts of service is absolutely that. It's him going out of his way to help her during her times of need and stuff like that. And it's like, hey, you should obviously see that I'm thankful to you because I've done all these things. So yeah, I think that his primary love language is acts of service.
I would definitely agree. And then this might be weird, but on like, I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3. I want us to both say what we think Marie's like number 1 love language is. Are you down for that?
Oh yeah.
We'll just both flirt it out loud. Okay. Ready? This is so corny. Okay. Whatever. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Bingo. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's her entire gripe. It's like, hey, can you tell me sometime? And it makes sense because people who have a lot of the past that she had, and again, it's nice to meet other. They have a very low self-esteem. So it makes sense that they put words of affirmation at a higher level than everything else. Where it's like, I don't want you to do anything for me necessarily. As I want you to tell me that I'm good.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah, like I forgot what it's called, but it means that confirm or affirm
confirmation.
Confirmation.
Affirm
I want confirmation
your love for me.
Exactly. Because the problem that you start to notice with these types of people is that they start to lose. If you don't tell them often, they start to feel inadequate, and it's very hard, especially for someone who is an act of service type of person to a person who's a words of affirmation type of person, because those are two completely different types of actions.
Two opposites.
Exactly.
True.
And so you want me to tell you that I'm appreciative of you, and I want to show you that I'm appreciative of you. And because of that, you don't see what I'm trying to show you, and I don't see what you want me to show you. Because, again, those are completely different acts. Like, if it was quality time, if she had quality times and he had acts of service, I think that those mesh very well. Yeah, those mesh well. Because, like, by doing something for somebody, you're a lot of the times going to be around them a lot of the times. But, yeah, for words of affirmation, I think that they're very, very far off. It's very hard to show one when you are the type of person for the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's that's a good point. I never really saw that as like, I think it is weird though how, like I said, like our threes were both words of affirmation. It's like almost that weird, at least for us, that kind of gray area of like, I like it, but I don't like it. But like you said, like if you have words of affirmation and you meet someone that like loves acts of service, it might be a little hard. Or even words of affirmation and receiving maybe physical touch. I feel like receiving gifts would be a good mix with it. But I think that's a good point that you make. Like their love languages were complete opposites, and I feel like if this is a real relationship, and if you are going through a relationship like this, like you don't need to break up, but like you can definitely work on it if you both take a love language test and like say, hey, like just incorporate this more, maybe do a little more of this or that, because I like this over maybe what you think I like which is receiving gifts instead of quality time, which is literally free. So
yeah, exactly. It's very hard here because I think that, so it's very strange because me and my ex had an age gap of probably around like 4 years, probably 3 or 4 years. I think I was about 22.
Please tell me you were like 22 or 23.
Yeah, I was like 22 and they were like 19. So it was like, it was about like 3 years.
Alex.
And so like there was a lot, and not only was I 22 and they were 19, but they were also homeschooled. And that really fucked everything, honestly. Like, I feel like if they were not
homeschooled, but like, oof.
Yeah, I think that you gain a lot of abilities being homeschooled, but you lose a lot being homeschooled as well. Yes. I think there's a trade-off. And one of those trade-offs are understanding social situations, in my perspective. And for every single person I've ever seen who was homeschooled, they have the same exact problem where it's very hard for them to act in a social situation. Now, there are probably people who are very good at it, who are natural at it, who don't fall under those, that idea of like, being homeschooled and being bad at social situations. But from what I've seen that it's kind of rough coming from someone who is public schooled versus someone who's private schooled. Them talking together is very hard, where they're like, hey, how's it going, blah, blah, blah. You start to like make jokes and try to be very like, pop culture, and someone who is homeschooled probably doesn't understand a lot about like the pop culture that every other kid is into, right? But yeah, like we had a big problem there, and so that was a very, very big wedge, was that kind of, not only that age gap, but that kind of like education gap of how we grew up
socially, like pop culture, like normal references you have with somebody else, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And that really changed us, because it made them very, very seem much younger than what they appeared to me at first. Yeah, because at first when I met them on Tinder, they were
True
very, very like forward. And I love forward people, as we talked about before. I love it when you can take
He
control.
loves it.
Yes, I love it. It makes me really, really happy when it's an equal push and pull in the relationship. And so,
And they did not turn out to be that.
And they did not turn out to be that at all. And it just kind of like, it was like, oof, what am I getting myself into? But luckily it ended. Something that I did want to talk about was him talking about the divorce and getting back together, because I kind of like, I feel like that's what's going to end up happening. Is that I think that although it's morbid, not necessarily morbid, but it's very like not a very dark joke. I think that what he was saying was right, where it's like they have a future of constantly breaking up and constantly getting back together again.
Oh yeah, and that's not healthy, like at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's joking about it.
Yeah, I know for a fact that if my significant other had come back to me and asked to get back together with me, I probably would have said okay, a long time ago, like in the previous year.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I had found enough of myself to fight that battle again, where I've recently realized and understood where it's not worth it, and it's not worth it for me, and honestly, it's not worth it for them. And so I finally came to terms with that not ever being a thing. But yeah, so I kind of agree with his assessment of like, oh yeah, we're just gonna get divorced and we might as well just start getting married and divorced.
Start
again.
it now.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Might as well like get it going. Also, I think that that's something that's very important. Is that I think that communication is key. Communicate. Don't know where this came from, but communication, because it makes these fights a lot less likely to happen. I think that we had a lot less gigantic fights simply because I'm the type of person who likes to talk about the small things first. And so we've probably already been through the small things. So when we do have like a bigger fight, it's not that big because we're not just laying out a bunch of just laundry or whatever. Unless you are the type of person to not tell me the truth when I ask you about something specific, and that also loses you points away from me for sure. If like I'm like, hey, how do you feel about this? Because hey, I did this and it looked like it irked you. Did it irk you? And then you're like, oh no, not at all. And then like a couple months later, you're like, that irked me a lot, and I'm just gonna be like, all right, well,
why didn't you bring that up then?
Yeah, it's like I asked you, like you don't really get anything.
I brought it up. Yeah, true. Fair enough.
Yep. What does your love language paragraph say?
Oh god, let me see. Mine says for, like I said, quality time scored 37%. So in quality time, nothing says I love you, like full undivided attention. True. Being there for this type of person is critical, but really being there with the TV off, fork and knife down, and all chores and tasks on standby makes you feel truly special and loved. Distractions, postponed activities, or the failure to listen can be especially hurtful. Whether it's spending uninterrupted time talking with someone else or doing activities together, you deepen your connection with others through sharing time, which I definitely agree. And I will also say one of my biggest pet peeves is when people are not on time, which in turn, I guess, disrupts quality time, because to me it's like if you make plans with someone and you'll say you will be there at 3, I will be there at 2:55 because I want to make sure I'm there at 3. I'm not going to text and be like, hey, I'm going to be like 10 minutes late, when it's like I spent time to like you said, take time out of my day to plan something with you. So the least, like the 1% you can do is be on time. I fucking hate when people are not on time. Like it literally makes me so upset. I don't know why. It's just like, maybe it's like a weird, like you said, time is money. In my time, I don't really make any money, but it's like my time is valuable, and it's like fucking be on time. It is not that hard. So that's it. I feel like that got really intense, so it's just like be on fucking time. Thanks.
I have a problem with that. I agree with you to an extent. I try to do that, but sometimes I tend to be a little teeny tiny bit late. For the most part, what I do is that I try to, like, because time is so important to me, I tend to pack things up together. So, like, my days are completely blocked out. And so, like, I can't really, like, be there, like, an hour early because that time is probably allotted for something anyway. So, like, usually I'll end up being late because that thing that I had blocked previously has gone a little bit longer. Yeah. Or I just stupidly, like, forgot to leave in, like, like, give important information. Like, again, like, Friday I had friends over and I had that planned for like 2 weeks and I just forgot to tell you. So that was just completely on me. I was just like, fuck. If you were like, oh no, let's just do it today, I would have 100% just put everything down and been like, all right, let's do this today. Because yeah, that was completely my bad.
Oh no, and that's fine. Like, I would never just be like, oh no, we said Friday, so it's always on Friday. Like, I'm not anal about that. It's just like, if you're meeting up somewhere and you honestly texted me, if I was like in Orlando and you're like, hey, I'm gonna be 10 minutes late, I'd be like, are you fucking serious right now? And then I'd just be like, I'll be here, don't worry. Yeah, and I get like really passive about things if I'm like really fucking annoyed. So no, like, the recording on Friday is fine, but enough about me and how I fucking hate when people are not on time. What did yours say for acts of service?
Oh, yeah. So it says, okay, your primary love language is acts of service. Can helping with homework really be an expression of love? Absolutely. Yes. Anything you do to ease the burden of responsibilities weighing on an active service person will speak volumes. The words he or she most wants to hear, let me do that for you. Laziness, broken commitments, and making more work for them tell speakers of this language their feelings don't matter. When others serve you out of love and not obligation, you feel truly valued and loved. And that is 100% correct for me. I found this to be an epiphany for me because I didn't even think about it as closely as this was able to, like, just, you know, define what I felt. But yeah, it's just like when you're lazy and you break commitments and stuff like that, it shows me that, like, you know, I'm obviously not that, you know, worth for you. Yeah, important. So it makes me feel really, really like, okay, I guess, like, this person doesn't, like, care for me that much. But then when you do something because you just want to, it is the best thing in the world. Like, my favorite way of getting presents is somebody just saying, hey, I was just at Walmart one day and then I saw this thing and I thought this was weird and I thought of you. That is the best present you can give me, instead of one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, I heard it was your birthday, so I got you this $1,000 blah. I'd probably be like, okay, whatever. But if you're like, oh yeah, I was at the store and I saw this $5, you know, stick that, you know, was wiggly and I thought of you, I'd feel way better, like, receiving that.
Like, something meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. The idea of being thought of when I didn't need to be thought of feels really good. And so, yeah, it's the same thing there. It's like, if you are not obligated to do something for me, but you still do, it makes me feel very, 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 very happy and very, 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 like, loved. Because you don't have to. And I understand that you never had to think of me then or buy that thing then, but by doing it, you did. And that's really good, and I love it.
I think that's pretty cute. I think my husband's like the same way. He'll just jokingly be like, oh, get me something if I'm out, and I'm like, haha. But I'll, like, try and find something that makes me think of him, even if it's like a piece of candy, because he's like addicted to candy. He loves sugars. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. We each know a little more about our love languages, but like I said before, like, my mom was like really into this shit and like told us what our love languages are. I was like, what the fuck is that? But now as I get older, I'm like, oh, now I see it. It all comes full circle for me. So I think this is a cool test for us to take. Maybe we'll do another one, and hopefully you've thought of this question. But Alex, what is your movie of the week?
My movie of the week. That is a good question. And I've absolutely thought about this. because I know for a fact that it is very, very important that I had thought of this without, like knowing that this is exactly what's going to happen, right? So
yeah, okay.
My movie of the week, because I thought it was a really good movie.
Do you need time for this question?
No, I absolutely thought about it before coming through here.
Okay,
and
sure.
I was like, this is absolutely the movie to watch. And so...
Okay, so what is the fucking movie?
So the first thing that I wanted to ask before I explain the movie is, like, when you're looking for a movie, what do you like to find in a movie, you know?
Oh, I just randomly picked it because I was like, oh, Malcolm and Marie, it just came out. Looks pretty cool, so like, why fucking not? So I just picked it just because it looked cool and it's new.
What type of movies are you into?
I mean, I'll watch anything from like westerns, sci-fis, this fucking scary movies, romantic movies, comedies, really anything.
Oh yeah, I'm a big romance fan, but that's not the movie today.
Okay, so what is the movie today, my man?
Oh,
what?
So the movie is just it's a new movie, and it came out, and I just really wanted to watch it because I thought it was Adam Sandler is somebody whose movies I was like they're all funny and jokey, and it seems very very annoying.
God. Okay.
But he made a new movie in 2019 called Uncut Gems.
Oh my God, is it Uncut Gems? Oh my God,
it is
thank you,
Uncut
God.
Gems.
Oh
Have
my
you ever
God,
seen
thank
that?
you. Oh my God, yes.
Okay. Oh, you've seen it. Okay, well, I have not.
It is so good. I haven't seen it recently, so I will watch it again.
Yeah, we're gonna watch it again. I've never seen it, and I knew before today that this movie would have been my movie of the week.
Thank God. Praise
Now, unfortunately, to be real, I just thought about this, but honestly, I do actually want to see the movie.
Thank God.
Yeah. I don't know what. I feel like I was like coming into it today, and I was like, did I forget something? And yeah, no, I did. I did forget something, but
it's okay.
I think we did a really good job at landing it, and yeah, I do want to watch Uncut Gems. I've never seen it, and it's made by Adam Sandler, and I've every single person that I've heard it from, they said it was really good. So I might as well just watch it, and we'll talk about it. So everybody, watch Uncut Gems. It's on Netflix. It's free because it's on Netflix, but it's not free on Netflix. You have to pay for Netflix, but you get Netflix. You get it in Netflix for United States. I don't know if you're anywhere else, and I don't know if you don't have NordVPN or something like that. This is not sponsored. That's the only.
We're very Netflix friendly. If you haven't noticed,
very Netflix friendly.
I'm just gonna say one last thing. When you said Adam Sandler, side note, probably unpopular opinion, he is, for some reason, his like funny movies, I fucking hate them. Like, they're so not funny. He looks like a loser. I get his whole thing is like weird comedy, weird characters, but I fucking hate those comedy movies so much, especially like the older ones. Like, I just hate them so much. So like when you said Adam Sandler, I was like, oh fuck no, I do not want to watch a movie where you're trying to be fake funny. But when he said Uncut Gems, I was like, oh, thank you God. God bless. Like, ugh, unpopular opinion, but Adam Sandler, like -1 on my actors that I'd watch because he's just not fucking funny. But Uncut Gems, guys, Alex's pick on Netflix. Hell yeah.
Yeah, next time I'll actually have a movie ready, and it'll probably be an animated movie because I love animated movies.
I'm down for that.
I wanna hear you talk about one of the animated movies that I want to watch. There is a lot, but I just don't have one right now that I know for a fact that I want to watch.
I'm down for Uncut Gems. Good movie. And
have you ever watched? Say again. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you find maybe a test that we can take that goes along with it, that'd be cool. Or we can just talk about it. Whatever you want to do. You'll lead the next episode. with this movie pick.
Yeah, I'll lead it. Your questions were were a lot more descriptive than I thought they were going to be. I thought it was just going to be like, oh, what did you like about the movie? And blah, blah, blah.
Oh, no. I held back one question because I was like, he probably didn't catch that in the movie, so I'm just not going to ask it.
Yeah. But I will try to get it as similar as possible, where it's more descriptive of questions and stuff like that.
I mean, do you, man? I'm just weird with those questions. I like to deep dive, get that brain thinking.
We'll see. For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it?
I think so. Did you want to say anything else?
Not really.
Okay.
Did you want to say anything else?
No. Maybe let's just give our top 3 movie genres, so that gives them more insight into us. I don't fucking know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying though? I love a Western movie now. They're amazing. So I'd say my top genre is probably Western. I'd say my second is a documentary. And then I'd say my third is, I'm trying to think of what else I like to watch. Probably something kind of romantic, but more uplifting, not so sad.
Mm-hmm. Movies. Yeah, I just love romantic stuff. I like romantic movies. Romantic movies are just great. Not really much about that. That's just basically it. Romantic movies. I like action movies. I like them. I like the action movie every now and again. But I love to be able to go through a movie and I love subtle romance. Although usually the very like romantic movies are pretty adorable as well. But the romance that's like very like, they're not obviously like super duper, like they like basically they have a lot of problems, right? Where it's like, will they be together in the end? Blah blah. The more subtle, the better. Like if it's like an action movie where like there's like a side romance, and like by the end of it you'll be able to like experience the entirety of the romance. So it's not just like about romance. There's a lot more. I usually like those the most, just because I always like to. I don't like the romance to be necessarily in the foreground of the show or movie. I usually kind of like to think about stuff on my own, be like, oh, what if they like, oh, they must like each other here, blah, blah, blah. But if I had to pick a version, like a genre of movies, I would probably fall more under romantic, just because like, I just like seeing adorable shit.
Okay, and hopefully through this movie of the week, we can explore new movie genres, and hopefully I can get you to like Westerns, because they're actually very romantic too, so.
My grandfather loved Westerns.
Oh, I love your grandfather now. That's cute.
He's a very interesting character. Also, I love how you're playing. I love that you like Westerns. That's hilarious.
Yeah, my husband got me into them. Wasn't a big fan before, but I've definitely shed a tear or two watching one, and they can be very emotional and very heart-wrenching and action. That's what I love about Westerns. It's like action, drama, romantic. You get really invested into the character, and then boom, they're dead, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you just start crying. You're like, what the fuck? Yeah. So.
Yeah. Emotional movies are pretty dope.
That's true, though. Start crying a little, and you're like, what the fuck?
Thanks for joining our conversation.
Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications.
And we will see you in the next chat.